Howdy, y'all. What's up? So, I guess I was just looking in my email or like 2 days ago, and saw that some of you guys who I guess are subscribed now, like, didn't even realize because like it's been a long time since I posted that first video, right? The last one I made about contract size being pretty much the only thing that matters when you're leverage trading. But I didn't realize, like, I guess a lot of you guys commented, and I have like 65 subscribers now, so sweet. Thanks. But I don't even know like why I made that video in the first place, other than just like it just seemed like such like a simple concept that was so shrouded in mystery to so many people, including myself, like for some reason. And so whenever I first figured it out, I just had like this like light bulb moment, and I was like, what the fuck? Why are there so many fancy words describing what this is? And all it is just like, all you gotta know is like, your number of contracts is the only fucking thing that matters. So that's kind of why I made that video. And yeah, it's been quite a while, but I kind of feel like I'm in a similar position now. Because, so obviously, yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff since then. That was a long time ago. I mean, I guess like you guys probably don't know who the heck I am. And it doesn't really matter, I guess. But back then, that was right before my girlfriend and I had our first kid, and I was like jobless and kind of just like trying to do stuff in crypto, like like basically like trading as a job. Like that was kind of the idea I had in my mind. That isn't really how it worked. But I did find out after the fact, like after I, stopped trading, like leverage trading, like so much, that my performance was actually pretty good. Like I tallied up all my historical deposits and withdrawals in Deribit into my account that I'd ever done, and it ended up being like 2 times like the what I'd withdrawn versus what I deposited. So pretty decent, I guess. At least compared to like the average T-Gen trader. I mean, I guess on average they lose money, which to me is just like, what the fuck. But I'll kind of explain that too. But first, let me put in the lip. This is what people do where I'm from, so I don't want to hear a single comment about it. And oral tobacco is healthier for you than smoking cigarettes, kids. Did you know that? But yeah, and I mean, around that time, I wasn't really doing much of anything. And in the time since, some shit has happened, and now I'm not doing anything again. So here I am. Figured I might as well make a YouTube video. But in that time, the long and short of what happened was I got like, a job around then. I wasn't too far graduated out of college back in 2019, right, when that video was posted. But I was kind of trying to pivot into like programming as a career. My degrees are in engineering, and for the record, I've never done financial stuff ever, like ever. Nothing in the realm of financial trading, like markets, like DeFi, like nothing, like nothing. So, but like I feel like maybe that's kind of why I'm qualified to talk about some of this stuff. And so I got like a job around then, right around when my girlfriend and I had our first kid. And then fast forward a little later, very long story short, I lost my job when the coronavirus started, which was some bullshit. The whole thing, I mean. And was basically jobless all of last year, and it was pretty tough. And then eventually, I got another job at the end of last year, but found out she was cheating on me a couple months ago. So that was fun. And but it's all good now. And kind of the nice news is that like, and then I lost this new job that I just got like a month ago, I guess. But I kind of hate it anyway. So now the thing is like, crypto is pretty much, it's been like what, like 2 years since that first video. And I mean, even back then, like back then, I didn't have much money in crypto at all, like maybe a couple thousand. Um, and I could even give you the whole backstory, but I'll save that for another video or something. But in all that time, and I guess like 2 years isn't that long for like proper investing. Like crypto has treated me pretty damn well, so I don't really have to worry about a new job for the time being, which is kind of nice. But also feel like what I did was really freaking simple. Okay, and like I'm not like I'm not super rich or anything, but it's like pretty good for the amount of effort I put into it, which was like nothing. The same with the contracts thing. It's such a simple goddamn concept. Okay, but like everyone on crypto Twitter, and in the troll box and BitMEX and everyone who trades crypto just overcomplicates it like for no reason. I mean, there's really no reason. Like it's so simple. I mean, yeah, margin trading will wreck you eventually, probably, but if if you're not like super careful, basically. But at the end of the day, like the concept is very simple, and there's very simple things you can do to make money with it. And so anyway, what I wanted to, I guess, kind of talk about was mainly like get some of your guys' feedback on like what do you want to know? Because here's the thing. So like I first started I when I first got into Bitcoin, like ever, like the very first was like 2013. So yes, I was, I'm like an old guy in this space, sort of. The thing is, though, I wasn't one of those guys who was like trading it back then. Back in 2013, it was like a currency first and foremost. There's a history lesson for you kids, which meant that I used it to buy stuff, and I'll leave it at that. But I remember like the first Bitcoin I ever bought was I had to drive down to like I'm such a boomer, but literally it was like right after Coinbase came out, right? Like it started as a business. I had to drive down to the Rite Aid in my college town and stand in line at the Western Union, right? Like with all the Mexican like construction workers who were there too, and hand like over a wad of cash, and they sent money over order to Coinbase, and I bought one whole Bitcoin for like $200 something. $200. And then like the next day, I even remember like waking up in my dorm room and like checking my Coinbase account and everything, and Bitcoin had dropped like 50%. I was like literally, I don't remember exactly when this was. Like I'm actually looking at the chart right here now, but it was like $200 something I bought it for, and then it was like worth 130 the next day. And I remember like looking because I did not understand like stocks, like like markets of any sort, nothing. So I was just like, oh fuck, man, like now I only have like $130 worth to buy stuff with. That sucks. But anyway, and it took me until like 2013 to even realize like what the hell, like how you're supposed to basically make money investing in anything, not just crypto. Like how markets work, how trading works, because it's like this whole esoteric like school of freaking like all these disparate concepts and like weird named things and like bulls and bears and like unicorns and magic fairies. Like what the hell? I mean, it's insane. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you guys want me to kind of understand this, like I kind of like consider myself like I went from like zero to feeling like I have probably a better grasp of at least like the basics of what cryptocurrency is all about, why it's important, and why you know why everyone should be paying attention, and like not just like, oh yeah, okay, I understand how Bitcoin works, but like buying it, like holding it, and like accumulating like as much as you fucking can. Because if not, then what's there's no fucking point if you're not holding it. I don't, I talk to people and they're like, yeah, Bitcoin, that's a cool thing, and then I'm like, so how much do you own? And they're like, Yeah. Uh, well, it's probably a scam. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, I don't know. So, I don't know. I was just going to talk about like a couple random things that I just see people getting wrong all the time on like crypto Twitter, in the general, crypto sphere. That is just, it just like gets my goat. And I'm tired of like trolling random retards on Twitter when they get stuff wrong. Because it's just every day. And like people never learn. So just tell me what tell me like something that you just like don't really understand. Okay. I don't care if it's like mining, trading, you know, why Bitcoin is better than everything else. I'm kind of a maximalist, but all the rules are a little bit flexible. So I like to like kind of stay open to possibilities in terms of not just like what other coins should you buy, but like, what trading philosophy is best and stuff like that. Because I've kind of tried everything by this point, and it's finally kind of paid off for me. So one thing that I think everyone, who owns cryptocurrency, I guess we should say, once you own some, right? And actually, let me step back. So, like, as a step zero, first of all, if you're watching this and you kind of know what crypto is all about, all right, and like even if you own some, but like you're not, it's just a little bit, or you still have like money in your bank account that is not in Bitcoin right now, as like a step zero, you should probably watch some more videos, or like read something on like how Bitcoin works until you were fucking convinced that like, yeah, it's the future of like humanity. I mean, there has been nothing like this shit ever existing, like ever. I mean, I kind of like, I never understood like gold either. Like, I never understood why precious metals mattered before I got into crypto. So like that kind of initiated me to that. And nowadays, like I don't own any gold, but I've thought like I probably should get some at some point. So that's like maybe on the cards. But basically, point is like once you if you're wondering how to make money in crypto, right? And especially if you're one of those people who's buying like DeFi gems or gems, or if your portfolio looks like a laundry list of shitcoins that I have never heard of, and Bitcoin is like the lowest allocation on there, okay, then like there's a problem. If you're like one of those types of people, which is okay by the way, because at least you're in crypto. But if you're one of those people, then once you like I feel like once you have a really fundamental understanding of of what the shit like just how important the stuff is and like exactly why, the investing side kind of comes naturally, because that's how it kind of worked for me. Because basically like my big break was like when I stopped fucking around with the margin trading, because I've never been a trader. Like not just like dropped it cold turkey like an addict or something, because it's not like I was like a gambling addict or anything, but just like stop focusing so much on that, since I'm only okay at it. I'm not one of those crazy guys who just trades for a living. But like when I stopped focusing so hard on that, and then stopped focusing so hard on altcoins and stuff like that, and basically took a very big risk with like a lot of my own money. Well, not like a very big risk, but like you know, like something that probably would have hurt if if Bitcoin went to zero, and put it all basically into Bitcoin and Ethereum also, and some Chainlink, and then later also a little bit of Monero. And that's pretty much my whole portfolio, those 4 coins now. And it paid off really well, and it's still going well. So, I'd say like as a step zero, like for everyone in crypto, like doesn't matter who you are, like how new you are, how long you've been in it, okay? Like understand like why it why it's just the top dog, period. And I mean, and I say old people too, because like I even have friends that have been in it as old as as long as I like, people that were like mining back into like 2013, and like to this day, and they still like panic sell on the dips, and I'm like, dude, what? What the fuck? Like if you think if you've been in it this long, you would understand that it's like the hardest money ever created, and like, oh, I'm never selling, blah blah blah. But everyone's different, but So I'd say that's like the most important thing. Like, you know, if you think like crypto's interesting and there's really something to it, but you don't fully like quite like really get it, and I mean like get it by the balls, okay? Get it by the balls and like squeeze and fucking twist, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, fill your brain with crypto so so that you get it in your mind like, oh, that's why, you know, Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban and whoever else, like random celebrity who used to shit talk Bitcoin, is now like making it like 5-10% of their giant portfolios. Okay, because that doesn't just like happen every day. There's a good reason. So as a step zero, understand what the fuck this whole Bitcoin thing is. Like, really understand it. I mean, learn how the mining works and all that, but only for the purpose of just convincing yourself that, yeah, it's that big. Like, you know, I think like our lives are kind of boring sometimes, and we think like, you know, there's no, you know, if there was still opportunity, then like I probably missed it by now because like, you know, I'm not smart money, or I'm not whatever, like, and I'm pretty sure that that's not the case. So get that through your head. And the next step, once you have like a decent amount of crypto, okay, and you're like serious about it, like real serious, I think what everyone should do is own a hardware wallet. Now this is one of those things I could do, you know, a whole video on, but what I would recommend is get yourself a motherfucking ledger, boy. Any brand like works. Trezors are fine, I guess, probably. I haven't I haven't looked too much into like the Keep Key and like Cold Card or whatever, or any of those, you know, off-brand ones. Like, but I'm sure they're probably all fine too. Like, you know, the Amazon reviews look good, I guess. Uh, the whole point is basically just to like it. It's kind of the same thing as a paper wallet, but here's what people get wrong about paper wallets, right? I've seen people like, you know, love to kind of just like nonchalantly shit on hardware wallets, like, oh, you know, like, I don't need one of those. Like, I got my paper wallet, boy. Like, I just write it on there, bury it in my backyard. But the problem with that, right, is that, you know, if you have a paper wallet, that's great because it's air gapped. The whole idea is air gapping your seed, your private keys, so that Igor from Russia can't remotely like find some vulnerability in your machine or your, you know, internet connection or something and lift your private keys, you know, from across the other side of the world, because it's physically separated by air, like, from your machine. And like, you know, paper doesn't have a Wi-Fi chip in it. It can't communicate with anything. Only, you know, whoever's looking at it, aka you, with your eyes, can see your seed and use it to transfer your crypto out. The problem is that with paper wallets, right, what do you have to do when you do, you know, like, and software wallets are fine, by the way. I think what you probably should do is just keep like most of your, you know, big crypto, like your retirement stack, on like, you know, your paper wallet or hardware wallet or whatever, buried in the backyard, or I don't care. And then, you know, if you actually use crypto, if you're one of that small slice of people, then just transfer a little bit to a software wallet, and that's probably fine. Because if that gets hacked, then that's not your retirement, so it's cool. But the problem is that, okay, what, you know, say you use all of your small software wallet stack and you want to buy something with your crypto, and you got to transfer just a little bit out of your retirement stack. Well, what do you got to do? You got to dig up the paper wallet, right? And then you take it over to your computer, and then you turn on your computer and you fire up Electrum or whatever, and you're looking at the piece of paper and you type in the seed words, and that right there, that part, that's the problem. Typing your seed into a device that is connected to the internet, okay? Now, like, there's a point where you can kind of get schizophrenic about it, and I definitely have. But I mean, when you understand like how important crypto is, and like you have your retirement in it, basically, yeah, it's worth being schizophrenic about it, especially because it's so new and because like hacks happen all the time so easily. I mean, you know, I never paid attention until like back in 2017 when I first really got into it. I had like some bat on a whoops, on a you know, on a basically like a wallet whose private keys I had written in Evernote or something. And some fucking how, you know, one day I strolled into work and was playing on my phone, and I checked, like, I went on Etherscan to check my bat wallet, and it had been transferred out. And I was like, I didn't do that. Yeah, well, guess what? I got hacked. It's like that easy. And like I thought it was like I had like a password on the freaking Evernote note and all that stuff. Like I thought I was relatively safe. No. Like as a software engineer, you don't you don't like place your trust in like for that type of money, like that amount of money in anything that basically you didn't write the code for yourself, okay? Or that you at least know, like viscerally and like physically, that your seed, there's no possible way anyone could lay eyes on your bare plain text private keys. Period. Okay? So the problem with paper wallets is that eventually you have to you have to use like your central processing unit in your internet connected computer, right? In order to have it sign a transaction for you to transfer some money out. And thereby you're exposing your private key to the computer and then possibly the world. The thing I like about hardware wallets is that they are better than paper wallets because they're the same type of thing, right? It's just an air-gapped seed, stored on silicon instead of paper. But it does the process. It's basically it's a stupid device, right? It does nothing except for safeguard your private keys in an encrypted fashion. It's the same type of concept as burying your seed on paper in the backyard. And it does the processing for you. All it does is just sign the transaction and then send that already encrypted transaction to the device that connects to the internet over the USB cable. That's it. And that's exactly what you want out of a hardware wallet. I think they're still too expensive for what they are, but it doesn't matter. If you got over like, a couple $100 in crypto, you need a hardware wallet, period. You have to. Everyone. Like everyone. The point is you should never find yourself typing your seed on a keyboard. As long as that keyboard is connected to a device that can connect to the internet. Ever. Okay? Alright. Got that out of the way. What else? Let's see. Okay, so altcoins. Like I said, I have like some chain link. I think like the concept for it is like, I was one of the sort of original Marines. Like I remember the ICO in 2017, and like Biz on 4chan was just all autistic about it. And at the time, like I remember thinking like, okay, because there was so many other like ICO scams, but I read a few like red pills on it, and it makes sense. And I mean, when you look at stuff like Sergey talking in the Swift conference this year, like at Davos or whatever it is, it's like, damn, they got connections. So I don't know, and it hasn't been doing too well lately. So might go to zero. I don't know. But that's why I'm at least a little bit diversified. But the other thing, of course, about that is that diversification is kind of a meme. And that's sort of one of the other points I wanted to touch on. Like, I see so many wallets that are like, that's like a $250 portfolio made up of like 15 coins, like, of like $20 each. And it's like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, if one of those moons, you're going to get maybe like $300 out of it. So what are you doing with your life? Don't diversify too much. Okay, keep in mind that following rule 0, right? That once you understand like what crypto is about, like the absolute utility of like hard money. I don't care about the high transaction fees. I don't care about what Peter Schiff says on Twitter because he's just trolling. He probably owns some Bitcoin himself. Probably not, but I'd like to think so because like no one can be that stupid, right? But Peter Schiff is anyway. Once you truly understand like what this shit is all about, you can probably then also naturally understand that, okay, yeah, most altcoins probably are scams. And compared to like the utility of Bitcoin, you don't even need, like what, you think Bitcoin's only ever going to do another 10x, another 100x, and you're not happy with that? Well, okay. And you think your altcoin's going to do 1,000x, so you go all in like your shitcoin. It's not worth it. There's too many of them. Like, the margin of safety for Bitcoin is just so much larger than the margin of error of being in a shitcoin. Like, it's a no-brainer to basically go all in Bitcoin first. Okay, you can own all, like, this is my opinion. If you like altcoins, if you like some project that you think is going to the moon, great. You can buy some of that after you own an appreciable size stack of Bitcoin. Okay, so like I'm talking like 50% of your portfolio is Bitcoin, and then you can start, you know, chiseling those shit coins off the sidewalk and putting them in your pocket if you want. Okay, but don't go crazy with it. Like, Bitcoin going to $1 million is, like, the fact that that's even a question is funny to me, because like once you understand it, that's like a low ball range. I mean, considering inflation and all that stuff, like, we're going way above it. I think like the stock to flow model and all that stuff, like the rainbow chart, those are all going to break, but not by Bitcoin going to zero like everyone thinks. It's going to break by just like, okay, so don't worry. Okay, Bitcoin's going to be around for what, I think like another 120 years or 110 years, before we hit like, like the inflation, like the block reward stop or whatever. So don't worry. Like, you got your whole lifetime for this shit to go to the moon and then like to Jupiter and beyond. It's gonna happen. Okay, like, this is one of those things like I can't teach you in a video. You have to like get it yourself. But that's why it's rule zero, because it's that fucking important. Okay. So, and because of all that, here's another, like, basically, like, I kind of view buying Bitcoin as kind of like the new index fund. So like, you know how when you're a young adult, and you've been like a couple years of your first, job, and you're making like some decent money now, and you got like a bunch of, like, money just sitting around in your bank account, and you're like, what the fuck do I do with this? Because you're a responsible individual who saves you money or whatever. And you go online and you like watch some investing videos and you listen to these old guys, and they tell you like, put your money in the index funds. That's such good advice, because it's basically like the safest thing you can do, right? It's like, a pretty, semi-diversified, like, blue chip portfolio of all these boring ass stocks that tend to go up forever slowly, and like, so fuck yeah, by the time you're 65 and blowing spit bubbles in your wheelchair or whatever, you'll have a fat stack of money, or a fat stack of value in the form of index funds. Well, that's kind of how I view like Bitcoin, and I think like that's kind of how our generation. I'm like, late 20s. I think that's how like we should kind of view it, because of the greater economic like picture that the U.S. is kind of embarking on, and I can get into that too. But that's like such another. I mean, that's just such a beast of a like, everyone has opinions on, whatever. Some interesting stuff has been going on there lately. Like, if you want to, like, if you enjoy like fear porn, and you're kind of into like the whole like, oh God, like, this is what people don't realize about the economy. Like, you can just look into the reverse repos that the big banks have been doing with the Fed, lending all their liquidity to them in exchange for bonds. And what does that mean then, like, for the economy? I don't really know. I've heard like some good opinions on both sides of the fence for like huge deflation or huge inflation. I know Mike Maloney's he says what he thinks is that we'll get like, a short period of like serious deflation, and then like to compensate, the Fed will print tons of money, and then we'll get like hyperinflation. Weimar Germany, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, go search up on YouTube "Hidden Secrets of Money" series by Mike Maloney, the gold bug guy. Freaking awesome. If you feel like you're still kind of lost about like, economic stuff, or if you're new to crypto, or if you just don't understand like how, it fits into the context of the global like money system or whatever, go watch his videos, "The Hidden Secrets of Money." It is that I watched that kind of like early 2018, like right after I got seriously into crypto and still didn't understand what the hell I was doing, basically. And why I was like losing money on altcoins, and like, I could just put it all in Bitcoin, but like Bitcoin's a boomer coin, like there's other coins that are so much better. Why aren't I making money? Go watch his videos. You'll get a much better idea of how like money printing works and why it's such a huge scam. Okay, but like scam doesn't even describe it. It's like I can't even believe we've been doing this for over 100 years now, and like no one's been like, hey, wait a minute, like that's some bullshit. But but anyway, overall, yeah, I think whether or not we get deflation first, I think the arguments are much stronger for the hyperinflation narrative. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like eventually, like the interest rates are already so low, the Fed cannot afford to raise them because the U.S. won't be able to afford our own interest payments on our national debt. And so, what do? Print more money. That's what we've been doing the past year. I mean, if the coronavirus thing hasn't taught you that by now, uh, but you look at that and you'll start to understand it. I mean, the stimulus checks, like all that kind of stuff. It's just we've gotten to the point where all we can do is print more money. The the terrifying thing about that, right, is that it's not just like Germany inflating like their Deutschmarks. We're inflating the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar just happens to be the reserve currency of the world. So basically, like, if it dies, it's gonna be like open season for every country to decide, like, oh shit, what the fuck are we gonna use now as like stable money? And obviously, like as someone in crypto, you'd probably be like, the rational thing to do would be to use Bitcoin, right? Duh. But that's I doubt it's gonna happen. They're talking about all the CDBCs, the central bank digital currencies now. So like that's probably going to be the thing that happens next. And those are cancer, but that's probably what's going to happen. So you look into that, but basically you just realize eventually like all right, money's going to get printed. Like eventually the inflation will trickle down and velocity of money will go up, and then we'll see all the asset markets just go like that, like whew. Housing prices will probably just continue to go up forever, which gets my goat again, because, I'm renting because I feel like the housing market's already so ridiculously, like, overvalued. But, truth is, I also recognize it probably will just keep going up if we get inflation. Stock market will probably just go up insanely forever like it has been, despite terrible fundamentals. Everything will pretty much go up. And that's probably what will push Bitcoin, not to 1 million, but to like 1 billion or whatever. So, yeah, that kind of stuff is fun to think about. It's super freaking hard to understand, but even if you don't fully understand it, I don't fully understand it. I don't think anyone does. No one can predict what's going to happen with the entire like economic landscape of the world. So, but you have to, if you're really serious about crypto, right? You have to like be on that level of at least like in that field of study, so that you get an idea of just at least like the magnitude of the shit that we're dealing with here, and like that Bitcoin might be able to fix, or at least like it might be the only thing that can fix it. It even stands a chance. If Bitcoin hadn't been invented, then probably we just go back to gold, when the economic collapse happens, like every other time in history, when the Roman Empire collapsed and, or whatever, like blah, blah, blah. But that's what, that's kind of why this rule 0 is so important. So again, if there's something specific about that you want me to try and pick at, let me know and I'll make an attempt. But I'm no expert either. I'm kind of like the uneducated economist guy. I like him. He's cool because he's just like an everyman, right? He's on YouTube, and he just works at like a lumberyard, I think, right? And he just talks about how like like I can tell like you can extrapolate like from that like the everyday consumer level of economics to like this probably means that that like that'll be a bigger trend or whatever. But that's kind of all I am. Like I just understand like now why Bitcoin and crypto is so important. Starting from a place of where I didn't even understand that like basically all the stock market is buying low and selling high, which like when I first had to come to grips with that, I was like, what? That's too simple. Like that sounds like it's like that's scammy. That doesn't even. Why is the stock market so important if that's all it is? Like, You know, it didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, it when you when you it's obviously all more complex than that. But that's the beauty of it, I think, just economics in general. And because it runs our entire daily lives. I mean, literally, money is like the most important thing on earth. Like, if you're religious, like, God comes above that. But that's why, after God and family or whatever, if you're in crypto, like, you understand that, like, this shit, it will become, like, the most important thing. When people can't buy bread because it costs $1,000 a loaf, because that's, like, what happened in Germany. Like, that could be what happens to the U.S. and thus, by extension, the rest of the world or whatever. So, I don't know. That's about it. I just figured I'd kind of give an update. And, I'm still alive. I'm still in crypto. And it's, like, more important than ever. Not just, like, for, when you're trading on BitMEX, because that's, like, small potatoes. In fact, I was going to say that if you, you know, if you're, like, a margin trader, and you like my last video, or rather, like, if you aren't, okay, and you're, like, trying to think, like, how can I use 100x leverage on BitMEX to, like, make a ton of money, like the pros that I follow on Twitter? My general advice would be, like, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, basically either put a tiny bit of your money in, right, like, small, like less than 5% of, like, your whole portfolio, even if your whole portfolio is only like $1,000, okay, put like $100 in, $50 in, okay, and then play with the leverage all you want, and then just get experience that way. But basically, the moral of the story is, like, control your risk, okay, because you won't be good at it first. And in fact, overall, my general advice, like, to people new to this shit would be, don't trade at all. Go to your 9 to 5 job, okay? Make your honest living, and then fucking stuff it all into crypto. Send it all over to Coinbase or Binance US. That's what I like nowadays. And never sell it, like, ever. And in fact, especially, like, with the tax situation, like the capital gains, which is bullshit. Okay, don't don't like don't if you're gonna sell your crypto, like, if you're gonna trade your crypto, okay, buy your Bitcoin on Binance US or on Coinbase or whatever other of these exchanges. Report all of your shit to the IRS behind your back, right? And then send it over to some decentralized exchange or KuCoin or some country that's kind of pretty much out of the jurisdiction of the U.S. a little bit, or whatever country you're in. Like, if your laws are as bad as ours, and trade there, and make it so that the IRS can never see that. I'm not suggesting this, by the way. I'm just saying that if you were, like, if you wanted to hold your crypto until the end of time, or at least until, like, the taxes went away, and you just don't feel like dealing with, like, the all of that bureaucratic stuff and having to report your income and all that stuff, like, I'm pretty sure that's still illegal, so I'm not suggesting that. Don't do that, be a law-abiding citizen. But I'm basically saying, don't ever send your stuff over to Coinbase and sell it and incur that tax penalty. Just don't sell it, period. I mean, literally, like, basically, I'm not going to sit here and suggest, like, ways to get around the law, but that's because, that's not because I wouldn't do that. It's because I just literally don't have any reason to sell it right now, period. Like, basically, I'm cashing out as much as I need to for rent. I haven't even yet, but now that I've lost my job, like, whenever I do, I'll just cash out enough for rent, groceries. I live very simply, and then I'll pay the taxes on that small amount, but that's it. Everything else, you just hold it. Okay, it's that simple. Because of Rule 0, because of how fucking important this shit is. And because the longer you hold it, the more beneficial it will be for you. So, that's about all I got. I'll stop it there. Go out, don't trade too much, don't lose your money, okay? Capital management, secure your capital, and have fun. Don't be stupid. See you.